Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I was actually introduced to AI through audio. I filmed an event one time, and on the plane back, I lost all my audio equipment. And this was years back, but I found a AI software that actually helped me get the in-camera audio to. I actually was able to fix it to where the couple didn't even know that that I didn't actually have the mics that they were on. So that kind of gave me a really good taste in my mouth as far as getting into AI and uh, and what it was achievable. So then, when the first time I was ever able to actually just type a sentence into a computer and then an image popped out, I was pretty amazed, as I'm sure everyone was. And I immediately knew it was going to come to video. So I kind of tried feverishly to learn about it, and that's what I've been doing for the past couple of years. And I'll show y'all some stuff that I've just worked on. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to like just stop me in the middle. I'm cool with that. All right. So back in the day, I started off just using Kyber, which was at the time a just a closed source tool that you could use. I'm pretty sure they're still around, but you know, it was kind of flickery and you know, pretty. It was cool at the time, but I knew that there was going to be something more. And as time went on, I got into Warp Fusion. I was a diehard Warp Fusion junkie. I don't know if anyone ever used that notebook. And then Animate Diff came along, and Kytra had a notebook similar to Warp Fusion, but just using Animate Diff. And I kind of knew that was going to be the future. So that's what actually led me to Animate Diff. Is basically what led me to the Banadoko community and ComfyUI. And if anybody, I don't know if anyone, Banadoko is one of the is actually like one of the greatest online communities for people who want to learn any of this stuff. I'll put a link in the chat. But that's actually, I don't really have a lot of followers on social media or anything like that. I've just never really been good at it. So I got kind of obsessed with style transferring and unsampling workflows like inner reflections would make. And I just would be really active in the Banadoko community as far as that particular channel and helping people out. And that's actually where I was, where my boss found me, was in the small community. Even though I only had like 900 followers on social media, I was still able to get a gig just by helping people out in the community. And so I really can't stress enough how much those places, how much they mean to the open source community. Right now I'm messing with WAN. I don't know if anyone has any experience with it, but I feel like the community is rallying around the WAN models right now. And it's just really cool, some of the things that it almost eliminates all the flicker as opposed to what Animate Diff used to do. And as far as style transfers go. And recently I worked on a project with Paul Trillo where we're trying to figure out how to get basic line art into a more fleshed out animation. And these were like some of the original first tests that I did on this project, where we literally started off with just this basic line art from a person. Then I ran it through LVCD model, and then I wound up taking that and running that through SDXL with an IP adapter to get a more fleshed out animation. And then we wound up figuring it out that it was easier actually just to have the colored, not to try to just color the line art from the beginning, but to have them just roughly do that in whatever animation software. And then and that actually wound up coming out better. Let's see here. It's just some crazy stuff from back in the day here. And different kind of style transfers. I just really love ComfyUI because there's so many different things you can do with it. This was all steerable motion. Like transferring a Pulp Fiction. A lot of people at the time, whenever I was doing the style transfers, were doing like 30-second tests, and that's kind of all they would ever put on there. But I was interested in doing like a whole 7-minute scene. And this particular render, I rendered at 1080p on my computer at home, and it took me 4 days. But and countless tries actually to get it, and it's still obviously not perfect, but it's getting there every single day. And for this being 7 or 8 months ago, at the time it was pretty good result.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
All of this stuff that you just showed us, did it take? I haven't used ComfyUI personally, so I might be asking like an obvious question here, but is it taking like a video as input, like a seed video? All of those demos that you just showed?
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. So mostly I was focusing on video to video style transfer. And with the except for with the line art one, I was trying to get we would take line art, but I mean it's still technically, yes, a video in to video out. I actually do have some that I do some text to video as well, but that was just kind of basically what I started to focus on. And some of the trippy stuff was just like images, and it was kind of interpolated in a trippy way. But yeah, that's like that was kind of my main focus, or where I spent most of my hours upon hours doing. That all to be said, if I could find this. I don't know if y'all saw, I did a Nirvana video where I style transferred them into claymation, and that's posted on X. You can see it if you want, but this is actually something I put together to show how many times I ran through it just to tweak the settings. And each one of these every cut was a render, and it probably took me about 15 minutes per. And this is just going through every single setting in the workflow and changing it by one just to see what would happen. And that's kind of honestly the best way to learn some of this stuff, is just it's the tedious way, but but after doing that so many times, you kind of get a feel of what it's actually doing. I won't bore you with the whole thing, but it goes through almost the whole song. So I don't know if I was just kind of determined to get that. And I have no idea why, because I wasn't really making any money doing it at the time. But this was the final result. I don't know if y'all can hear. I'm assuming not.
But I can play it for the audience later.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, it's all good. But the cool thing about starting out now is that it's getting a lot easier with some of the new models. So hopefully you won't have to go through 2 weeks of changing one number at a time. But yeah, we have some text to video stuff running right here. This is with the WAN model. This is just text to video on a style LoRa that I trained. I'm still trying to figure out the context options, but another cool thing about Comfy is that you can always put everything on auto queue if you want to, if you have a list of things to do. And actually, I want to show everyone this. I don't know how in depth everyone gets, but this particular node right here, if you don't like prompting, because I don't care for it personally, you can use fill nodes to call up the Gemini API. And as long as you don't use a business account, if you use a free account, it's completely free. And you get your API key, so I don't care if anyone steals it because it's free at the moment, and I don't have a credit card linked to that account. But you can call the Gemini API, and it'll do all the prompting for you. And I'll send links to some of these nodes. I'll probably send some links to some of my favorite nodes as well. But I'll totally open up to questions if anybody else has any questions.
Hey, yeah, I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit more about your experience training LoRa's for WAN and style LoRa's.
Okay, yeah. So I've been actually using Replicate and I've just been using images. And I normally do about 50 images. In fact, I have I'm glad you said that. That's why I'm glad someone's asking questions, because I would have totally forgotten to say this. So what I normally do is I have this little sheet where I asked the LLM to give me a number of prompts that I could make synthetic data with, to make like just kind of generic stuff that was also diverse enough to where the model would be able to understand what's going on. So I would take these and prompt these into like Flux or something like that. And then I have it all set up to where, like, I have an American diner, and we have a place in Morocco, then a Japanese tea ceremony, and just a whole bunch of different stuff, like a plate of spaghetti, vintage car, so on and so forth. And then and I just set that up to where I could put the name of the style in here that I wanted, and then it would concatenate that on this particular thing. And then I also made an extension to where I could actually export all of these to text files in the number of the row that they're on. So as long as I have the images named the same as the text files, then I would be able to put that into the training script on Replicate, and generally been getting pretty good results with the default in Osprey's repo. I can send the links to all this stuff. But I trained one using the diffusion pipe, and I followed an online tutorial, and it was just kind of a beatdown. So, I mean, that's why I'm using Replicate. I don't mind. I'm all about open source, but I don't mind paying for some stuff. It's going to save me a couple hours.
I can ask a question.
Yeah.
Please.
Could you discuss your workflow for the style transfer when you have video to video? Like, are you using the WAN model, and are you also using like animate diff or some sort of like better custom node for video to video for consistency and style transfer?
So we just recently started testing the WAN model, but prior to that, I was using unsampling, which was it's been around for a while, but was popularized by Richard Interreflections. And what it does, it's basically you're taking animate diff, and you have two samplers and 2 runs of animate diff. And what you do is you're on each sampler, you disable the noise, and then on the first sampler, you run the Sigma schedule in reverse at about a half strength that you normally would. So instead of starting off with no random noise, you're actually starting off with the image and trying to turn it into noise. So you have a base level of noise that is that you use in the next sampler, which gets sampled normally. So that way, it's instead of just using random noise, it's actually. In fact, I made a whole video about this, and I'll post it. So basically unsampling method. And if you just look up unsampling interreflections online, you'll be able to find it as well.
Thank you.
No doubt.
Another question.
I don't know if you can hear me. Let me know.
I can.
Have you done any integrations with Comfy, but into some environment outside of Comfy, whether that's Unity, Unreal, anything that allows you to kind of ingest some other data and then use that in your generations?
I haven't myself, no, but I've heard of some people that are doing it, and I know that there are some nodes out there that do that, and I kind of, to be honest with you, I kind of want to get into it. I mean, but no, to answer your question, I haven't.
Yeah, so at the conference over the weekend, somebody presented a Unreal Engine and Comfy plugin where they are using they're using Comfy inside Unreal to do all the inference and just like accelerate all the 3D rendering workflows for themselves. And there's an open source plugin for Unreal to do that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're a Unity team. We got that integration, but it's real Johnny. It's in-house, you know? Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, please send me a link to that if
Try to talk
you
loud.
can.
So going from someone as an individual using Comfy to now using Comfy with a team of people, maybe what was like unexpected or what felt hard?
Well, it was a transition because in the past I had my own like little videography business where I was just filming everything myself and editing everything myself. So it's just been just the whole team environment's been a transition. But to be honest with you, I love it so much more because I was actually didn't realize how deeply lonely I was prior to prior to that. So now like I basically like. I'm in Dallas, and the vast majority of my team is in LA, and I go out there once every 3 months. But the majority of the day I'm on Discord and just share screens with my coworker Brad, Make It Rad, at Make It Rad. Look him up, follow him. And so it's actually been a collaborative experience, and we've really been able to kind of learn off of each other a little bit faster than I would have just trying to do it myself. But I've actually, I mean, to be honest with you, since Comfy is so customizable, it is different, like trying to get used to everyone has kind of a different way they like to set up their workflows. And, you know, I like to color mine a certain way. I like to, you know, have everything in a certain space. But since it's not the biggest team, it's, I kind of like, you can tell whose workflow it was like almost immediately whenever you open it up, you know. I like to think mine look good.
I kind of partly answered the question, but what's the like cross collaboration with 4 company people on one team? Like it's just like one person at a time.
Yeah, so well, there was one project that they had us all on, and now they're kind of like splitting us up into different projects. So yeah, to answer your question, at first it was like basically whoever came up with the thing that was going to get the thing done the best, then we would just all collaborate on that and then try to either improve it and then eventually at some point in the project we try to lock in the workflow to be like, it's not going to change anymore. This is what we're gonna use, but inevitably shot to shot things have to be tweaked. So it hasn't been an issue as far as everyone's kind of on the same page as far as what we were using at the time, because everyone was kind of using and sampling. That was one of the main things we were using in our style transfer workflows. But now that there's a whole bunch of different models, that I could see where, like, I'm hoping everyone just rallies around WAN and the whole community does, and that way we don't have to get a new model every week and a half. I mean, actually, I'm cool with new models coming out. I just like, it was awesome that everyone stayed on Animate Diff for a long enough time to where Syncadink was able to break out the nodes in a way that we could really manipulate it and you know, and build off of it. I kind of went off the rails on that one. Sorry.
I got a question. So you're doing a lot of style transfer video, but this organization that you're working with now, is it creating existing video and reusing, or is there more custom stories, custom animation stuff that's not starting from somebody else's video?
Yeah,
Video.
So we are actually doing some where we film on a soundstage and then we'll and then style transfer that way. But then the last project, in the biggest project we actually had real cell animators come in and like draw out the cells, and then that was kind of the base of everything that we worked off of. Which is super awesome. It's all the tests I do are on movies I like, but yeah, that's they're still getting regular you know, cell animators to come in, and they're wanting to make it to where it's not really like, it's just making us be able to do things faster, not necessarily anyone losing a job or anything like that. You know, I mean, that being said, like I know that traditional animation studios, they would do the same sort of thing we're doing, and then they would export or outsource some of the more tedious stuff. And so we're trying to get it to where you don't have to outsource it, and we can do it in-house, and then it'll be cheaper, and hopefully we'll get a lot more awesome animated shows and movies and advertisements and everything else.
Do you have like a pipeline or any workflow, or what are the projects so far we saw tests, but how does it work with clients, or what is the structure within the studio?
Oh, within the studio, they have a system set up that's where like we make the workflows, and then it's not necessary. It's like basically we're like doing a lot of development and stuff like that right now, and we also, with some of the projects that we have, it's basically like we have a producer and she gives us the shots that we have to work on, and then we have dailies every night, and that's basically how it works. I mean, but they're in the process of getting a more like automated kind of pipeline system, but I'm not really sure how much I can talk about that.
So you only get assigned shots, and then you work on Comfy and you export them, and that's the final shot.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so then the director will go over the shots with the director, and either he'll give notes or. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I can spend a whole day working on 3 shots, or something like that. And then the director will either say that he likes it or he doesn't like it, or he or she, and then it's we either go back to that or send it to the editor.
And when you go back to address comments, is that a redo? It's generated. So is there a proper way to replicate steps, or is that a redo generation?
Oh, so yeah. So if you generally, if you have in those particular workflows, if you have the same seed, then you could replicate it. Almost 1-to-1, but then at the same time, because at the same time, like if they're needing, we're going to be making tweaks. So like once somebody gets a really good, like we nail the style and we nail the particular workflow, I will say it's kind of customized for each project. That's like which is one of the good things about Comfy is that we can do that. If that answers your question, I may just be rambling.
I was wondering, like you mentioned, it looks like the prompt. I was wondering if there are other deep learning models such as Theo, Runway, Cobra, something like that. And how is Comfy getting?
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry. I just.
Repeat the question. So the question is, have you played with things like Runway and VO2 and Sora, and how does Comfy compare to those models?
I mean, VO2 is really good. I think it's really awesome. But I try to stay away from closed source stuff, even though I do really like using it. I think, and I did a project for, or not a project, but like a personal thing for Civitai contest that I used Kling for, which I really like all of them. It's just, we've mostly been using open source stuff until we do have a model that we're training with Moon Valley that's all trained off of licensed data and whatnot, and it's kind of like in the works still. So I mean, it's like we're waiting on like some more control stuff and things like that, so that we can bring it into Comfy and do that sort of thing. But I do like the closed source models, and I have nothing against them. I just I prefer open source personally. But we do. I mean, like I know that there are nodes that people have made where you can actually call on Runway and whatnot in Comfy, and then be able to manipulate like Runway outputs in Comfy. So I feel like there's a place for all of it. I feel like Comfy really doesn't even have to be used for image generation. You could use it as a tool to link up a whole bunch of different LLMs if you wanted to, and come up with a it's really like kind of the possibilities are pretty endless with some of the stuff you can do. I'm a real visual person, and my brother is like a coder, and he can actually get on the command line and do a whole bunch of things like that. But it was kind of bridging the gap for me whenever I was able to actually see the nodes in front of me and see what it's doing. Just because I know that some people just learn, different ways, and that's kind of, I'm just more of a visual learner, I feel like, and I feel like that's what Comfy's really is, who it's really good for.
I can ask another question. Have you or your brother written your own custom nodes to customize your projects? Like, do you guys know Python? Are you like setting it up that way? And also, how do you organize your host setup in terms of the software? Because you must use a lot of different nodes, and then you must have different virtual environments. And how do you work with that? And then my last question is, like, what hardware do you guys use? Like, do you have multiple GPUs, or are you using the cloud? Or I'm just curious about your.
Oh yeah, no, we have like A100s in the cloud, and then I have two 4090s at my house. And I tried to get the 5090. I had the world clock on. I tried to order it the second that it was available. But of course, I didn't get one. And like after the first day, I've been kicking it down the road. And then they have A6000s at the office as well. So yeah, we do have a cluster that we use for Comfy, but that's kind of like broken off of the clusters that they're using to train the larger model on. And they were just, they let us have those. So, but I will say, like, and what was the first part of the question?
The first part was, do you write your own custom nodes?
For
your projects?
Yeah, so I've written one node, and I didn't really write it. It was Claude, but it was a one-shot thing, and it was a scene detector node, and then I turns out, because I wanted to be able to put a video in, and then it detect the cuts, kind of like Premiere Pro does, and then export all the videos. But Phil actually made a better one that worked way better than the one I did, so I didn't ever publish it. But that's another awesome thing that since the LLMs are getting better and better, I'm really excited to see what's gonna like come out of it. Eventually, you'll be able to tell the LLM just to write you a workflow, and I think some people have already done it, and just write the JSON.
And then the second question was regarding your software setup. Like, do you have each project has its own virtual environment, or do you have like each set of like custom nodes has its own virtual environment? Because I know that some custom nodes are not compatible with other custom nodes in terms of the dependencies. So
yeah,
like,
totally.
Organize that. Yes.
Yeah, so on on one of my computers, I have a virtual environment set up, and then on my other, I'm doing a Pinocchio install. I did it because I was like, I had to get it in fast, and it had the manager already loaded. So, and I just haven't switched it off that particular computer because it's worked for me so far. But I generally will have a virtual environment until something breaks, and then I'll make another one. Which don't get me wrong. Like it's still like someday we'll lose days to updates and stuff like that. I'm trying to stay on top of it. I don't know if anyone's in like keeping up with the WAN nodes, but Kajai's changing them every hour on the hour. So, and they should call it hourly nodes.
Yeah.
I have a question about, has it gotten to the point where directors that we're working with want like a self-service product where they can like, they have a new asset, they want to run it to workflow on demand? And so what are those parameters look like?
Are you saying like they want like a one-shot sort of solution?
Yeah, like they like the aesthetics, they want the workflow work, they just want to run it themselves.
It actually has happened, and I think that like with the unsampling and anime diff, it was harder to do that because like depending on how much movement you had in the shot, depending on like just like what angle the shot was at, or like how far the subject was from the camera, it was harder for them. It would like you'd have to tweak some settings to get it to work. But I think that with some of the new stuff, it's going to be easier. I'd love to be able to do that, but it just hasn't quite got to that point. I mean, I guess it would be on par with how hard it would be for them to like just run everything through a closed source model, but just with more parameters. But if someone that kind of knows what they're doing, then yeah, that I'd be more than happy to do that actually, because it'd save me some work.
I'm not sure how much you could talk about it, but can you talk a bit about the video model you're training and like what your goals are?
Yeah. So I mean, I can say that it's like they legit licensed every single piece of footage that was in there, and they're they're just wanting to get it to. They're wanting to get around. There's a lot of places are just they're afraid of AI because of the copyright issue, and which is fair. So they're wanting to. That's kind of like the place in the market of where they want to be. They want to be like, you can use us without any legal issues, which I think that's the main goal. And so hopefully, they don't. Hopefully that goes through, because it's. I mean, it's because I think it's important. Like I do think it's important to. Of course, I've been using this for a long time, and I've obviously used every model out there, but it does make me feel a little bit better knowing that I'm not like straight up stealing someone's art. Yes.
Is there like a way that you use it just for like light rendering?
Can you repeat that?
Was there a way you can use it for just like light rendering?
Live rendering.
Yeah, there is a. I haven't used that particular workflow, but there is a relighting. Workflow, and I'll post it. I think it's. I need to find it, but I know some people that I work with have messed with it before. RC Light, something like that.
Yeah, so for something like RAND, are you using one of the trimmed down models locally for testing and then throwing it to the cloud for the final render?
Yeah, totally. I'm a real big fan of the 1.3B model in the at home, because it's just so fast. And I mean, the 14B model, even on the A100s, it still takes for 81 frames, it was still taking like 20 minutes, even with Sage and all, and with the Triton and everything. But yeah, so yeah, to answer your question, yes.
Yeah, so going back to you guys training on licensed content, that's awesome. But it reminded me of Firefly, which is maybe, at least in my circles, the least talked about video model. So I'm curious if you think that in Firefly's case, it's like a limitation of the training material, or if it's just Adobe being too big to like be the case of like.
Well, I hate to say anything. Adobe has taken years off my life, so I'm probably a bad person to ask. But so I think that like what we're aiming to do is like put a lot more control into they're really focusing on the model and putting a lot more control into it, as far as as different things like that. Because really, I don't think that people who we're trying to sell to are going to really just be like prompting anything or typing prompts. It's mostly going to be like transforming footage with the model. So I think that's kind of what we've been focusing on. So I'm confident that it's. I mean, I think it's just a different market. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Firefly. That's for sure. But and also that's also to be said is that whenever we have an artist that we want to work with, we're going to try to like get them to provide as much art as we can, so that we can make custom lures and stuff. So so that way it'll be their style. You know what I mean? To honor their style. And I'm sure all those people would be really particular. So it's a. If that makes sense, I may have lost track. I may have like. Go.
For WAN, are you finding that consistency in style comes best from like first frame, last frame input, or are you finding that Aurora does something similar?
So far, I've been seeing that like LoRa's are driving the LoRa's are helping like a lot. I would say more so than the first frame, last frame, but that's just because I haven't figured it out yet. And that's I think that they've just came out with like 2 new models in the past day and a half. So I know that there's the Vase model that just came out and the control model. So I think that actually I saw some people, I think AI Warper was doing some really cool stuff on the Bandidoko server. But I think that it may be a first frame, last frame thing very soon. I'm hoping, because it takes forever to train the LoRa.
Trent, do you have anything like I know we kind of stopped you in the middle of the of your like what you were talking about. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience?
As far as art and stuff like that?
Yeah, or yeah, just like I know you prepared a little bit to like talk about. Is there like did we cut you off or
no, y'all are good.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Let me see. Let me make sure I haven't like hold on, I'm not presenting anymore, am I? Yeah, this is a big improvement. I was able to get 500 frames in 11 minutes off of WAN. That was the 1.3B model on the 4090 at home. On this Soldier LoRa that I was training at the time. It was kind of undertrained, but I mean 500 frames, that would have taken hours upon hours just like a month ago. Not the greatest, but I mean it's just the proof of concept that it's like it's getting better all the time. And this is another WAN.
For lip sync, have you used lip sync or pull it, or if you find something that works best?
I really like oh man, one second. Sonic. I really like Sonic, but it's only for still images. I'm trying to actually look there, but I will say that the new WAN control, like there's in fact, the one that just came out, people are doing some really awesome stuff with that. I think that there's going to be a workflow with WAN lip syncing like really, really soon. If anybody wants to be on the newest, on like the super cutting edge, go to the Bandidoko Discord server and in the WAN chatter channel, and Kajai is in there, like every update that he makes, he's posting in there. So, and it's relentless. It's relentless. I'm having a hard time keeping up.
I was curious, how do you think about the difference between the Jai's node and the Comfy native integration for web?
So I generally always like native just because I feel like it won't break as often, because obviously Kajai is gonna be interested in something else down the road, and it's hard to keep up with every single wrapper that he's made. But at the same time, I feel like particularly for WAN, he's just like so far ahead of the game on this one that he's already been breaking out the node into stuff kind of like Kasinga did with Animate Diff. I mean, obviously it's still a wrapper, but he's just adding so much functionality. As soon as that comes to native, obviously I'd like to have it in native, but I guess I prefer native if it's there because I feel like it's going to be more stable. But at the same time, Kajai's the man, you know. If that answers your question.
One more question.
With your position and what you're building workflow-wise, is that work kept in-house? So are you hoping to share that, or?
Could someone repeat that real quick?
Yeah. So for the work that you're doing at Asteria, like how much of that is open? That's like open source and shareable. How much of it is like Asteria is keeping it in-house?
Well, with like with the model and everything, it's all in-house. I mean, it's basically all in-house. I really probably shouldn't be even like saying too much, to be honest with you. But yeah, like it's like, but I mean, they have like Paul Trillo posted one of the projects that we worked on already. It was like an installation for the artist Kuko, and everything that I do, everything that I personally like come up with, if I'm using open source tools to come up with the workflow, even if inevitably we're gonna be using our model in the same sort of workflow. If it's open source and it's not proprietary to our thing, I post all my workflow. I post my workflows on in Banadoko on whatever channel, mostly whatever channel is where the nodes are. Not every single one, but you know, the ones that, if there's something new that I feel like I've come up with that can build upon whatever someone else has done, because that's the great thing about open source, is that everyone kind of builds off of each other, and I would rather share the workflows and have someone make it better than not.
All right, one last chance.
Where can we follow your work?
Where can people follow your work?
Oh yeah, actually, so I'm really gonna start getting better about posting to Instagram, but it's at Flipping Sigmas on Instagram, and I think it's at Flipping Sigmas on X or Twitter, whatever you call it. And on Reddit, I have some ridiculous name that they provided me, but.
Yeah, also in the Luma, when you register for the event, we have web trends information there as well, so you can go there and follow your work.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm really bad about social media. I'm trying to get better about it.
Cool. Well, Trent, thank you so much. I think everyone really enjoyed your presentation. Really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you all so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, cool.
Cool.
Now, last segment, announcements. Anybody's got an announcement? Okay, Eris.
Hey everybody, my name is Eris. I'm an AI artist and a filmmaker and a metaverse enthusiast and event producer, and also a ComfyUI hacker because of Livepeer. First, I want to say thank you. Actually, I want to give Eric a round of applause for putting this together. the last several months. And they've been talking. Well, this community is going. I've seen it personally. Second of all, I wanted to announce that I have one of my AI produced films up for voting right now in the first AI animation competition. I have a link for you guys. I don't think it's going to be easy to put it up there. I'll read it to you, or we can pull it up on your system. if that's cool.
Yeah, sure.
But if you go to this link, I would love for you to watch my AI film and then vote for it in the competition. And afterwards, if you don't have to watch it first, but after this, if you want to talk AI film production and metaverse stuff down here, I want to suggest the bar across the street. It seems like it's got like beer, wine, and food. We all hang out, so it's super easy. But the other thing I want to announce, anybody here into the metaverse or want to be? Yeah, that's cool. So my partner, Meta DJ right here, is a metaverse DJ, and I'm an event producer. So for several months last year, we were working on this weekly event where he would do music and all the avatars would show up. And one of my kind of missions in my metaverse events is to onboard people in a comfortable and fun way. And we partner up to do that. Tomorrow night, he's having another one of his awesome shows. He's going to be using one of the ComfyUI builds these guys made called Daydream Live. And you guys could get like a taste of all of it. If you're interested, you don't have to have a VR headset. You don't have to have a Web3 wallet. Come talk to us. I will help you figure out how to get into the event so you can have an awesome space. Show you how you can do all that for free. All you got to do is have a phone or a computer. Actually, let's stick with the computers for now because the central land is not set up for phones. But those are my two major announcements. And the last thing is like, let's just start talking about all this stuff afterwards, like in a place that's cool. Anyway, thanks so much.
Yeah.
And if you want to pull up the link, if
Oh,
you
yeah.
want to read it to you guys, and he can drop it in the browser.
Yeah.
It is www.dub.com.
Wait,
www.dub.com
dub.com.
/vote speak.
Oh,
VOTESPEAK. And that's where
Okay.
you would vote for my film, but you can watch all the other cool AI generated films.
Oh,
My
dub.com.
work is,
Wait.
I try to stay almost pure. Like the only thing that I don't do that's generated, like that's not generating AI is my
Right.
editing work. Right? So my film, all my characters, all my images, all my sounds, my voiceover, my
Right.
music, it's all generating that. So
Trevor, thank you. I see.
Again, www.dub.com /vote speak, no spaces,
.com.
.com /vote. You want to type it?
Yeah.
You put three W's.
Oh, www. I see.
Yeah, it's www.
Oh, I see.
Anyway, I think it was pretty cool because I've been making films for nearly a year now. I've been making films for a long time, but like AI specific films, I jumped headfirst last year. ComfyUI plays a role in my work such that it can do a lot with creating character consistency, backgrounds. Watch it. It's only 2 minutes.
Okay.
Please let me know what you think. You want to max that out?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, great. You're gonna watch it right now. Yay!
Just make sure that the applicant makes the right decision. I appreciate that.
All right. Awesome. Well, I'm sorry. Oh, cool. Yeah, I know that this this competition is happening right now. So if anybody is interested, you can. Yeah, anybody. Okay, that's it. Like, I want to give a huge thank to actually Ria and her events team who is putting this on and paying for all the pizza and stuff. So Ria, thank you for, and Carla. Yeah, that's it. Let's hang out and let's go to the bar and keep getting to know each other.
Nice. I have some more pizza. If it's not,
Oh yeah, there's more pizza.
tons
You
left.
wanna grab it?
I think I'm organized.
Yes.
Hey, y'all drink one for me.
We will. We got the crowd going on for you.
Thanks, Trent.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. All right,
Yeah.
talk to you later.
Easy. Peace.
Can we